Our panel theme is Creativity Rewired, Shaping River State Through Tech and Creativity, curated by Art and Garden City. This panel explores technology and creativity and how they co-author a future that's efficient, expressive, inclusive, and locally grounded. We're seeing it already. AI-generated films like those showcased at the Niger Artificial Intelligence Film Festival, creators like Miss Techie, Toby Ayeni, using tools like Kling.ai, Pika, and TikTok filters to bring mannequins to life, performance arts like David Zelda's Duplanger dance, driven by AI, invisible solar panels in South Korea that allow windows to generate power while maintaining beautiful aesthetics, AI-powered retail innovations by Isha Ambani's Azote, 3D printed tech-enhanced fashion worn by innovators like Mona Patel, sound-sensitive lighting transforming live stage experiences. Technology isn't replacing creativity. It is expanding it. Today, we've invited some of River State's most dynamic minds, digital creatives, architects, tech founders, urban thinkers, to help us imagine a creative economy where cities are smart, but also soulful, landmarks are iconic and intentional, tech and urban planning serve the people, and streaming empowers our stories. Billboards, ads, and public screens are more creative. Collaboration becomes infrastructure, and innovation protects our cultural diversity. After the discussion, we'll move into Q&A session. Now, just a quick note to make sure everyone gets a chance to contribute. I kindly ask that you keep your questions short and clear using the simple format, name, organization, question. If your question starts to take a little too long, I will respectfully interrupt you. So please don't take this personally. We just have a little time to really get all we have to say. So without any further ado, I'd like to call on Piriye Isokrari, a visionary entrepreneur who shaped Africa's creative economy as founder of Aristocrat Group, launching stars like Burna Boy. He was an early executive producer of the influential podcast, I Said What I Said. He also runs Aristocrat Lab, a creative hub supporting artists across multiple disciplines beyond music. Now CEO of Duncan Investment Limited, he leads a major clean energy project in River State. Piriye is passionate about innovation, youth empowerment, and driving cultural and economic growth. Welcome, Piriye. Please welcome Peter Banigo, a tech entrepreneur and founder of Target ICT Limited, who builds impactful tech solutions for businesses across continents. Born and raised in Port Harcourt, Peter champions positive stories from the Niger Delta through initiatives like the Niger Delta Forum, as well as the podcast Tech Your Business and Green Tech Pulse. His work shows how local entrepreneurs can compete globally while uplifting their communities. Peter is a versatile entrepreneur. He pioneered retailing gourmet-style Bole King. I'd also like to invite Frances Basti Opoyo, an architectural designer and urban visionary, blending design, culture, and sustainability. Her work includes landmark projects like the Benue Governor's Lodge remodel, Port Harcourt's Air Assault Golf Clubhouse, Salvation Ministries Cathedral, and the Lagos National Theatre Rehabilitation, to name a few. Frances champions inclusive community-centered design that reflects identity and improves lives. Welcome, Frances. Please welcome Ibim Cookey, a Nigerian mixed media artist from Port Harcourt, whose work blends art, architecture, and cultural identity. Trained as an architect, Ibim has exhibited internationally, including at Basel, Miami, and West Ham Olympic Stadium, and received awards like the Nigerian Hype Awards Most Artistic Personality. He was mentored by renowned architect and artist Demas Woko during a residency. His piece, King Jaja's Storyboard, is part of the British government's permanent collection. This was recently done. Congratulations, Ibim Cookey. I'd also like to welcome Laura Pepple, a multidisciplinary Nigerian creative whose work bridges architecture, visual arts, film, and performance. Born in Port Harcourt and trained in the UK, Laura combines cutting-edge technology like 3D modeling, VR, AR, and AI with storytelling to create immersive, impactful experiences. In 2024, she earned Best Actress nominations at both the Africa Movie Academy Awards, AMA, and the Zuma Film Festival for her lead role in This is Lagos. Welcome, Laura. And finally, I'd like to welcome Donald Okudu, a creative director, social entrepreneur, and civic innovator based in Port Harcourt. He heads Mesh Advertising and Design Studios, MADS, and he leads multidisciplinary teams, crafting impactful campaigns and spatial designs. Donald is also founder of I Am Vocal, a nonprofit advancing citizen participation in governance through data-driven transparency tools. For over a decade, he has created TEDx Port Harcourt, turning it into a transformative platform recognized globally, including as the TED Countdown 2025 anchoring event. So welcome. So we're all here. So I'd like to start off with our questions. I think they've eaten a bit of our time and now they're rushing us. And when our panel is the most interesting from everyone else. So here we are. Question number one. What's the role of creatives in rewriting the future? Art in the Garden City believes creativity is not aesthetic. It's a tool for shaping futures. As creatives operating in this digital era, what role do you think we're being called to play in designing not just beautiful things, but livable, inclusive, and sustainable systems in River State? I think this will go to Piriye, Isokrari, and Donald Okudu.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. For what we're being called to do right now as practitioners in the creative industry, I believe is, as you said, shaping new systems. But these systems need to show that the art and creativity is not just about expression, but there's impact in what we do. There's an economy that is being built behind all the creative expression that we need to be able to show that for every camera guy here, for every sound person, every graphic designer, it goes beyond just the jaya and the enjoyment. Mm-hmm. So I think for our role right now in River State is to show that there is a solid creative economy, and how can we come together to shape through infrastructure, through investment, and build something that is worthwhile for the future generation.
Fantastic, thank you so much. So Donald, what would you like to add to this? I want to use my microphone while you're...
Hello. Greetings, everyone. Happy to be here. As creatives from the region, we have a huge responsibility in terms of determining what the landscape should actually look like. And based on the kind of entities that we are, which are visual creatures, the style and the format of the things that we put out there should serve a true function beyond its aesthetics. So part of what we're trying to drive is how do we push for young designers, developers, creators within the space that would actually design things that serve, more or less, design is a product of function. So how do we drive a generation of young builders to actually build things that can actually help improve the ecosystem at large? From billboard designs to how we want to tell our stories and how we want to present ideas. And over the years, if we look at how the River State Port Harcourt design landscape has been, it's not been as encouraging as we'd love to, because we know there's talent, but we want to ensure that we have, or at least showcase people who are also doing amazing work that can help inspire more people to create more meaningful and impactful work. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I'd like to call on our last panelist, KObaba. He is a comedian and also a champion of pushing the narratives of the Niger Delta forward. I do apologize for not calling you earlier. Sorry about that. Thank you. Welcome. Okay, so we're going quickly to the next question. But before I start that question, I'm going to give a bit of a brief. We often talk about smart cities in terms of speed and connectivity, but what about soul? What about legacy? This next question is about how architecture and creative design can help us tell deeper stories through the places we build. The question also asks how the use of technology will help in urban planning. Imagine all indices were set. Would Transcorp Hilton, for instance, restart building its Port Harcourt branch at its current location off the Olobansojo end of the Ever Road, given how that area has now become an eyesore, even making the land a difficult sell, I will presume. So the question goes, as cities like Port Harcourt aim to move towards more smart and tech-integrated infrastructure, how can we design buildings and public spaces that reflect our culture, respond to our climate, and reshape the skyline in ways that are both functional and iconic? Can technology help us build not just efficient cities, but soulful ones, rich with identity, beauty, and landmarks that draw people in and stand the test of time? I think this question will go to Francis Bassi, Laura Pepple, and Ibim Cookey. So starting off with Ibim Cookey.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So when we speak on landscape and reshaping landscape through architecture and design, we have to look at the reason why we design. And currently, in Nigeria and Africa, we don't design to solve our own problems. We copy designs from the West and incorporate Western solutions here. For example, if you look around you keep seeing that the windows of buildings are getting smaller by the day. And this is because it's a design copied from South Africa. But here in Nigeria, we have heat, we need the air, and we're supposed to be designing to be bringing the air in. There's no reason why you should have buildings that can't function properly without air conditioner in a system that does not have stable power supply. So I think when we start designing to solve our problems with our own challenges, we change the concept of how our designs are. And I'm not just speaking as an architect, I'm also speaking as a visual artist, because our buildings before, we have columns and pillars that would have carvings of our ancestral stories. But these days, we've eliminated those things and picked up Gothic designs from the British people. And then we keep having pillars and columns that have POP cast on them that tell nothing in our stories. So you go to places like Lagos, you go to the Oriental Hotel, and it feels like you're in China. You go to Abuja, and you snap by the National Mosque, and you think you're in the Middle East. You go to Lekki, and all the buildings makes you feel like you're in a small estate in London. So we need to start thinking of, why are we eliminating courtyard designs when we have communal lifestyle here? And I feel like these conversations will help us to reshape the architectural identity and the design, so that when people see our buildings, they know that, okay, this belongs to this particular group of people.
Fantastic. Okay, Francis Bassi, what would you like to add to it?
Good day, everyone. Firstly, if you want to talk about architecture and the urban fabric, it's impossible not to talk about the three actors. So you have the government or policymakers, you have the architects, and then you also have the private sector. Most times let me start with the private sector, right? So they are our clients or the people we have to design for, either directly or indirectly. Now, for the policymakers, we need, using River State as a context, we need to decentralize River State first and foremost, because everything happens in Port Harcourt. And to be honest, Port Harcourt is just GRA and maybe a little places around Peter, Dili, But we need to start with decentralizing the city and creating more avenues for development. So rather than having renovating existing buildings, but we have opportunity to create nicer things in other places that have been provided for. Secondly, when plans are being made or policies are made, they're made to take into considerations, innovative ideas. If you look at cities across the globe, most times the designs or the crazy things we see that we like, those lofty ideas, they have to be kind of thought out. It's intentional. So you get to a city like Dubai, for instance, the landscape or the skyscape is intentional. So we do not really design with intention here, right? We just design for either just livability or quick money, So we need to find a balance between aesthetics, like he said, we need to find a balance between aesthetics and functionality. So that's that. Then for the architects, it's a whole broad conversation, right? Conversation one, copy and pasting, which Ibim has already mentioned. We need to think more. I think that's a continuous narrative, even amongst all the sessions that came before us. A lot of people were talking about cultural approach. In 2017, I wrote a paper on the cultural approach to design, considering Lagos and Kampala. It was a comparative study, and it's a continuous narrative that we do not design anymore for ourselves. We kind of just pick something from somewhere else. Now, if we look within, with the cultural approach, we choose how we design our spaces, our buildings. The innovation is better. Innovation is, we can now create things that are meaningful, things that are bold, and then architects also need to be very bold. You need to say something, and you need to be bold about what you're saying. If you talk about cities like Lagos, you have Lagos designers and architects who are just doing their best to speak whatever they want to say, whether good or bad. So, yeah.
Okay, so Laura, what would you like to add to this? Please, just have 1 minute. Is it?
Good evening, everyone. So to add to that, I'd say as an architect as well, a lot of the design process starts with the site analysis, which I find that many people that design here in Nigeria and in River State tend to miss out on. This is where you do a lot of the investigations on what happens in the area, how is the circulation in that area, what's the noise level, what's the culture there, what's the behavior of the people in the evening, what's happening, are they partying in the mornings, is it quiet? The more you start to do these investigations, the more your idea and your design will be shaped to serve the people that live there. What's the climate, how often does it rain, how hot is it, or where's the wind direction from? These things govern how your design is going to come out. And by the time all these investigations happen, before you start to make the designs, you find that the city will start to shape itself. And in this stage is one of the places where tech can even come in, because you can collaborate with data analysts to put together all these informations. Business habits, cultural habits, like what's the process like? The more we start to incorporate the site analysis and these investigations, the more I think our city will shape itself into something that really represents our identity as a people.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So the next question is on streaming, and we'll have KObaba, pardon me, Peter Banigo, Donald Okudu, Piriye, Isokrari, and Laura Pepple handle this. The question goes, streaming platforms and docu-films now shape which stories travel and how we are remembered. How can we use digital media to create and protect narratives that reflect the depth and richness of River State, not just its surface, and what opportunities exist for people who want to enter the space but aren't sure how to, where to begin, what opportunities exist to learn, connect, and begin telling stories. I would like Peter Banigo to start. And please, we have 1 minute each.
All right, good evening, everyone. So there's this thing that I always say, that if you don't tell your own stories, someone else will tell your stories for you, and the story they're going to tell is a story you probably don't want told. So I'll give an example from this new media and our stories. Back in 2008, we were in the middle of the whole militancy, brouhaha and everything. Everybody from outside River State felt we're all being bombed and shot every single moment. And I was very young, had a lot of time. It really hurt me back then. So because of that, I created a platform back then in 2008. That's the Niger Delta Forum, also a Facebook group. I am a Niger Delta and I'm proud of it. There we opened it up, let everybody come, post their stories, their culture, their everything on there. And it really spread, it really became very popular. But let me tell you something, this platform has been on hold. I just posted for about 10 years now. But the funny thing is that till today, I checked it this morning, people searching for terms like Uwarusun from Kalabari, Ugelengpa from Opobo, Opobo Noatam, Ibani names and their meanings. These are things we posted years ago. I still get traffic from there till today. That's something we can all do. You know your stories of your different places. Create something. It doesn't cost anything. Create something, post your stories. And I advise this because I'll be a bit above 1 minute because of this. Just an extra one. So why I'm saying this, why I'm saying we should own our stories is because now there's AI. Almost every session mentioned AI. I'll give a brief this thing. How AI works, basically, AI is a program. AI consumes a lot of data. Data such as videos, photos, texts, data, all sorts of data. And it makes sense out of this data. You know, everything works by principles and laws. So our languages work by principles and laws. So AI understands this, tries to predict what comes after each thing. So now, if this AI now that we are using keeps being fed by data that is not our data, what comes out from our ChatGPT? What comes out from our Claude? It's not going to be reflective of what we really are. So I think that's my point for this.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so could you add anything to KObaba? Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, can you see? I hope you're seeing well. Okay.
I'm tempted to stand because I'm a stand-up comedian. So. I think part of my concern is you look at this part of, look at our city. I was talking to someone a few weeks back. I said, do we have streamers? We have people who see the opportunities and possibilities that we can create for our ecosystem when we have people that are streaming. Because what was happening then, Hip TV wanted to stream an award show that is very big with Pella. And that would not have been free. And I'm asking myself, how many people want to do event? Let's say we're having PH Tech Expo, and somebody is saying there is this streamer in Port Harcourt that has millions of followers, and we can pay that person or get this person on board. So my concern is this. A lot of persons from this part, you do not see the opportunities and possibilities that we can achieve with streaming. And it has gone, people are hosting concerts and they are streaming their concert and people are paying him. There's an app called VIP. There is VIP, there is Zoom, there is a lot of things that people are doing. People are holding conferences, people are creating stage play, and they will take that stage play and they will stream it for people to watch. And I want to say this too, that we need creatives who are thinking of digitalization and globalization. And one of the things that will make you achieve that, embrace streaming, do that. In my last show, it was a comedy show, this same arena. Guess what? I had a ticket that people were paying for. They were not in Nigeria. I had people who were not in Nigeria. They paid for that ticket. It was even cheap, as much as the price for the regular ticket. And we sent them a code, and they were part of the comedy show. And I looked at it, I said, if I publicize this enough, I can get 1,000 people pay, and it's like another event center. And that's the possibility. That's what people would do. You want to do album launch, you want to do a lot you can do. Okay. But I don't want it to be a one-off things. The cheapest streaming that we hear is I go live on Facebook. I go live on TikTok, but I want you to see a career in it. I want you to diversify, and then you see that if you stream consistently, you will get monetized. If you don't even get monetized, you can, from that platform, begin to project your product and your brand, and a lot of business will come out. Thank you.
Exactly. So I think I'd like Piriye to come in here to put a few words on this, since this is something that you're quite familiar with.
So with streaming platforms and with the opportunities that they present, I think, especially around us telling our own story, I think one area we need to look at is what are the stories that we are telling? What stories are we trying to tell? There needs to be, as Peter said, his own mission was to dispel the negative rumors of the Niger Delta through the platform he was building. As a musician, what is your own mission and what story are you trying to tell? I always find that when you show up authentically as yourself, there's this guy here with a Chan, very popular. He's very rooted in the culture.
Yes.
And he's telling the culture through his music. So and right now, because we're on the global stage and everybody is watching, when they see the attire, when they hear the language that is not as similar to, let's say, what's coming from Lagos, they dig deeper to find out where is this from, what is this about? And that is the tool that we have at our disposal. So we need to learn and think about how to tell the right stories or position the right stories through these platforms. Monetization is is an option that everybody has, but how are you? What story are you selling to the people? What are you telling the people to pull them in, to teach them something about who you are and your culture? So that's where I see this, or how to utilize and tell stories better through these platforms.
Okay, thank you very much. So for Donald, Okudu, and Lara, I would like to just, as part of the question that I'll need like some input on is, people who are interested in this, where do they begin? What opportunities exist to learn and connect? And how do they begin telling their story? So what would you advise?
Question. There are many accessible platforms because a lot of times when we think about Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, we kind of think about it for fun, for play, for banter, but then these are very important avenues to tell our stories, even if it's from a banter standpoint. How do you incorporate the culture, the language, the style, our ethnicity? Like, how do you incorporate that into those skits that we make? A lot of producers and actors that are, turning to YouTube to start their own channels to tell the stories in the ways that they want to tell them, the ways that they even have ownership over those stories. And I went to Ebony Life Creative Academy. It's an academy that does scholarships for people that want to act, editors, directors, writers. There are many of these platforms. So I think it would be important to just take the bold step to reach out to these people that run these organizations, make your applications, go to these events, network. Sometimes we do a lot of events, but people don't focus on the real targets of like the real reason why you're there, to network strategically. So yeah, I think that's one of the ways like to get great opportunity with these things that we have. And another thing I wanted to mention is like the right stories need to be told. Yeah. Because when people mention River State, Port Harcourt, we don't have representation that is important. Yeah. And even us, like we tend to play on the stereotypes that have been assigned to us. Mm-hmm. Maybe what's Port Harcourt Bole? Who goes you? Things like that. Like we are way more as a people. A lot of great things have come out of Port Harcourt. The King Jajas, the Ken Sarawiwas, Isaac Borough. Mm-hmm. If the problem is like the current affairs and history, subject nature of it all, we can add a bit of magic to it with our storytelling. Maybe add some fiction. Maybe King Jaja can be a superhero in your story. Or you can make Ken Sarawiwa, like normalize him to, the everyday man and add a love story, something like that. And then when people start to do their research, it will point them immediately to like where these people come from and what our true identity is. Okay,
fantastic. So I'm going to go to number 4. So Donald, you could add that part to this so that we're just running for time. So number 4 has to do with advertising, billboards, public storytelling. So the question is, from digital billboards to social media campaigns, the way we communicate in public space is shifting. How can creatives use these platforms to affirm identity, drive meaningful engagement, and shape what people believe about where we live?
Okay, so I'll just address the last session briefly. So today, while I was at the exhibition area, I was asking if anybody knew what the god of thunder was in their own ethnic group. Yeah. And unfortunately, within the Niger Delta, they only knew of Shango, which isn't from here, which places a problem. So I think it's important that we begin a documentation of our oral history, because for every leader that dies, for every elder, grandpa that dies, the part of your story dies with them that hasn't been documented. And in that way, we can begin to explore the interrelationship between ethnic groups and the stories and the interconnectedness of everything. That way, a lot of the stories, whether big or minor story, can be saved in these archives, and new stories can emerge from that. And that way, we can begin to investigate our cuisine, our fashion, and everything. It is being documented, and from that point, we can begin to draw more inspiration. And if that is done, leading into this, you have a more cultural approach to the kind of campaigns that you want to build. The things that resonate with the locals, rather than, it's the same problem with architecture. Everything is being borrowed. So identity is lost in all of these things. And most times I see people do campaigns and the literature is in Pidgin. And I often question, the person who can't read in English would not read Pidgin. So we have to be very intentional about the mediums that we choose to share the ideas that we want to. So if you're going to go Pidgin, go audio, so people can understand you. So it's to be very intentional about, do you want to be understood or you just want to be sophisticated for the sake of it? And as we address inclusion in all of this, is to make sure that we are intentional about the mediums that we are showcasing these campaigns on.
Fantastic. And Francis, would you like to add anything to this? Briefly, we have 1 minute.
Okay. So one of the things I would like to say is architecture is a very strong medium for storytelling, right? So you go into, let's say, a city like, if you go to Eastern Europe, for instance, you can tell by the architecture that it's been highly influenced by Islamic architecture. So we need to go back and find our souls or find our identity and begin to tell those stories with how we design. Your architecture should want to say something. Don't just pick somewhere and you want to say something. And so because you want to say something, your architecture begins to have a soul, begins to tell of who we are as a people. He talked about carvings. We have, there's so many things that we have that we are no longer exploring. For instance, the Insibidi symbols, which was used mostly in Cross River, the Igbos and the riverine areas. So those things can easily be explored and included in our design. And that way we begin to find our identity back.
Okay, fantastic. I see KObaba is holding his mic, so I can't tell him to stop. So please go ahead. So do you want to...
Okay, let me... I want to say something about in telling our stories. I hear this a lot, and it gives me concern. Emphasis or the stories are too far. We want people to talk about Isokrari. We want people to talk about, and we have a lot of Gen Zs, and what they like to hear the Burna Boy story. They want to hear the Timaya story. They want to hear the Rotimi Amechi, the Wiki. They want to hear Julius Ago's story. So I must say this, that we have to bring the stories and make them see the realities. They want to hear about the wonderful things he has been doing as a creative act. So in telling our stories, we don't need to be too far. That's part of our biggest challenge. We know all the histories about King Jaja of Opopo, and we don't know what is happening of recent, and it gives me concern. And okay, for Port Harcourt people, I also want to I am a firm believer of digital billboards, and the rest. So when I do my events, I prioritize billboards. That's why you can see Mayor Pitakwa, you see 100+ billboards, because Port Harcourt people have a mindset that for you to have so many billboards, you have so much money. For you to have so many billboards, the budget is large for the event. Also, we have people who don't know that how you are brand for these billboards are quite different with how you do a couple of things. So for creatives that are listening, it's not just the numbers. Let me not mention numbers. You're scared. Readability and a couple of connectivity is important when you try to display or expose your creativity from this channel.
Fantastic. So, the reason why I brought this question on advertising billboards, right? I think it's something that personally irks me. I feel that we need to be more intentional on the sort of images we have on our billboards, right? With the sort of creativity, the sort of thought process. I think I'm now becoming a panelist, right? So I apologize. So that's what, that's why this question was brought up. I don't know if there is, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Do we have any digital billboard here?
Yes, we have.
Where, please?
We have one at...
Rumola.
Just outside Rumola, inside GRA. I use one during my show, Market Square, Javinic, and Genesis.
And Genesis, yes. Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, that's okay. Okay, then I also wanted to talk about, you also mentioned about, talking about our future. Right, I mean our present, the stories of present. But for instance, when I did the first International Women's Day, I was privileged enough to find out from the great people of the National Museum Port Harcourt, and they told me about that we have the Niger Delta Queen. Do you know who that is? That's Queen Kambasa of Grand Bonny, right? That was the first time. And I have the stories of Queen Amina of Zaria,
Yes.
Queen Idia. I'm just knowing about Queen Kambasa this year. So we need to know our roots, to know where we're going to. We need to know, for me personally, we need to know our past, our present, so that we know where we're going to, and not just concentrate on just our future. That's just me personally. That's what I feel. Then I think for number 5, the question is, what would it take to build real bridges between disciplines, between the architect, the artist, the musician, the comedian, the fashion designer, the storyteller, using digital tools and platforms? For instance, tech mogul Mona Patel tailored with tech in custom Tom Brown, alongside her 2 canine companions on the red carpet at the 2025 Met Gala. Or closer to home, Ghanaian actress Nana Akuadu in her 3D stunner at the 2024 AMVCA. What kinds of collaboration could redefine River State's creative economy? I'd like Donald to start off.
On that one, I do believe that things should transcend. So part of the things that we've been advocating for is how do you watch culture transcend, so that for every generation there's an interpretation of an already existing design that actually matches or reflects the time that you are in. And for the most part, what we've seen within the region are the particularly ceremonial outfits for burial, weddings, and one of those things. So what we've been trying to advocate for is how do we ensure that from your area outfit, from back then to now, how has the style evolved into modern sense, so that historically it's been archived? One of the things that we can actually explore is experiment on the silhouettes of the outfit. Because for the most part, the only person that has done anything remarkable within the fashion space personally is Ugo Monye. He actually flipped the silhouettes of the traditional outfit, and he made them almost Bauhaus, if I may use that term, almost brutalist in form, very structured, geometric. And it's the one thing that has actually gotten a lot of attention. So we have to give room for experimentation, redesign these outfits that speaks to the culture, but also drives a lot of interest for more people to even want to wear the outfit beyond burials and weddings. And
fantastic. Okay, Piriye, what would you like to add to this?
I think about cross-collaboration.
I'm sorry, we have just 1 minute. They just dragged my ear.
Okay. Regarding cross-collaboration across disciplines, which is fashion, music, film, arts, in River State, I feel like what we need to do to actually enhance collaboration is create more physical spaces for people to actually come and collaborate. Once a year we come for these conferences and we drop our ideas and say 1 or 2 things, and then we all leave and go to our individual silos and operate and do our things there privately, and then come back later on to come and tell everybody again what we've done the past year. I think we need to move away from that. One of the things we're doing at Aristocrat is creating a cultural and creative hub where the musician, the tech guy, the filmmaker can all come here and have a shared space, shared services, and also a community. Because, for instance, now, for every music video, you need a stylist or you need a director. So there are mediums and that you can pull people together, but I feel like to enhance it in the States, we need actual physical spaces that are promoting collaboration. I think what we do right now is all operating silos, but we need to be a bit more accountable that when we say these things about collaboration, we're actually going to follow through.
Fantastic. So how do people in the audience reach, if they wanted to contact your organization, like what did they go to?
The easiest will be social media. I think you can follow Aristocrat Group or Aristocrat Labs. That's Aristocrat with a K, ARISTOK, RAT Labs. That's our cultural and creative hub. I think from that hub, That's where actually Burner started his career. That was his first studio in Port Harcourt.
Wow, fantastic.
And
so that's history.
And we've kept that going, and we're trying to develop beyond just music now into other arts, and also provide services, because I think right now in the entertainment space, we feel like we should be investing more in infrastructure and providing services for the younger, the next generation.
Okay, thank you. So the last question, it's looking ahead, what is one thing you believe must happen to ensure that our cultural diversity, River State's true gold mine, is not only preserved, but made powerful, profitable, and central to the state's tech-driven creative future?
Okay, so I'll just speak personally. Everyone's talking about storytelling. Earlier this year I did a show. I'm from Opobo. Earlier this year I did a show called King Jaja, and it was done in Alexis Gallery in Lagos. And just like you said, one of the work is currently been added to the Commonwealth collection of the British government. And the entire show is basically about the story of King Jaja. Young people these days, nobody wants to sit down and read a 160-page book. People want visual images. And I incorporated tech in that whole process, because this is a story that happened over 150 years ago. There was no documentation, no picture of King Jaja, the chiefs, and the war with Bonny. I used sort of like AI prompts and the rest to generate images, which I hand painted, and did this exhibition. So this is a gold mine. You have artificial intelligence being used in art. You have virtual realities where we can create virtual rooms where people can come and experience these stories of our island communities that happened, hundreds of years ago, and be able to just know what happened that time and sort of like witness these things in real time. Same way in terms of like preserving our cultures. We have 3D sculptures which we can do. He spoke about the area house. Next year I'm going to be doing the Lagos Biennale, and I intend doing an area house of about 8 feet, where people can walk into the area house and then experience what it means to build houses with George rappers and have our women who have fattening rooms and the rest of them, experience this culture without going to our community. So I feel like it's a gold mine, and the River State government or just even private sector should support this, because imagine if we had a Port Harcourt Biennale, or if we had these exhibitions happening in Port Harcourt.
That's why we're here.
We would have these foreigners come here to experience it instead of all of us traveling to Lagos to go and talk about Niger Delta.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Peter. Sorry, KObaba, go ahead.
Okay, I think we need to be more intentional, and then we need to have culture shapers, catalysts, people who can take responsibilities like what he's talking about. In my sector, I have a couple of persons who do that. People who know these stories should come out and decide to create something. But most times, which is the most important factor here, even when you say you want to create it and you are lonely, you are broke, you don't have enough. So what I ask creative to do, we must see how we can come together and support people who have substantial ideas like this.
Fantastic.
People, yes, it is
fantastic.
very important.
They're dragging my ears, so I'd just like to have Peter in, please. I'm really sorry. Please,
okay,
just
so I think
30 seconds, please.
As usual, I'll go back to the tech part of it. I'll just give an example. Sometime about this cultural diversity and language. Sometime last year, around August or September, an opportunity came out on this freelancing platform, twine.net, training AI. I mentioned AI data earlier. So what they were saying was that they're going to ask you 10 questions and you're going to answer them in your local language. I shared this opportunity to a lot of my friends who speak Kalabari, Ikwere. I think one of them is behind there. Ikwere, Igbo, and co. That data was used to train AI. They were paid for that thing, $100, $100 and something dollars, and things like that. So there are opportunities like that. That was on twine.net.
Can you
there are other
say
things
that again?
like that.
People in the audience can.
So yeah, twine.net. So there are opportunities to train AI, and now they have AI from people speaking their languages in their dialect. So that's how we bring tech into this.
Okay, fantastic. There's supposed to be Q&A, but I don't think there's time for that. Oh, see the red lights. So, you've just heard about vision, the innovation, and truth. So this is how we are going to rewire River State. So through memory, imagination, and collective design. If you want to build with us, this is your invitation. So thank you very much, and sorry that we took your time. Yes.